This video is about the Monroe Doctrine. The Monroe Doctrine originates in the State of the Union address given by James Monroe in the year 1823. Very important was the Secretary of State, John Quincy Adams. To understand the Monroe Doctrine, you need to understand the historical context. First, a look at the United States. The United States bought the Louisiana area from France in 1803 and with it had a massive expansion, territorial expansion to the west. By the way, Monroe himself was involved in this deal as a top-level diplomat. During the British-American War, the US failed to conquer Canada, but they could buy Florida from Spain. All in all, the beginning of the 19th century was a very unstable time for the US. And then the presidency of James Monroe was seen as the era of good feelings because there was a societal settlement and substantial economic growth. To the international situation, Spain lost her colonial empire in Latin America and independent republics emerged. In Europe, there was the Vienna Congress, which meant the restoration of the absolutistic regimes. And now there was a threat that the Spanish could come back to Latin America and retake their colonies, especially with the help of the French. That was not in the interest of the British, who had very good economic relations to the South American and Latin American republics. So they proposed a joint British-US declaration to strengthen the independence of these newly founded countries. But the US didn't want to be a sidekick of the British, and they issued their own declaration, as mentioned, State of the Nation Address, 2nd of December 1823. So the Monroe Doctrine is actually quite simple to understand. The US simply said, we will not interfere in Europe or with the affairs in the existing colonies. But there will be no interference of European powers in the Americas, otherwise the United States would intervene. The reasons for this declaration, for this doctrine, first, economic reasons. The US wanted to improve their trade relations to Latin America. They have territorial reasons. There should be no interference when the US were to expand towards the West. Security reasons, of course, no European powers threatening the US in America. Ideological reasons, the United States are a republic. The newly emerged countries in Latin America are republics too. And last but not least, personal reasons. Adams needed to make a name for himself. He wanted to be the next US president. And then he also was elected next US president eventually. Further developments. Firstly, for around 80 years, the Monroe Doctrine was understood purely defensively, just to keep Europeans out so that the US could expand. Then Roosevelt, beginning of the 20th century, saw the Monroe Doctrine as the basis for American policies. America is the hegemonial power and has the right to intervene in the Americas. Then we have the Truman Doctrine, stating that America has the right to intervene wherever in the world, a global reach to protect people and against communism and fight communism. In 2013, US Secretary of State Kerry said the Monroe Doctrine is dead. Now, the Monroe Doctrine was a central guideline of US policy over quite a long period of time, but it had lots of meaning to lots of people. First, it was a very isolationist position, just keep foreign powers out, then an interventionist position with an American reach, and then an interventionist position with a global reach. And at the end, it should be mentioned, the Monroe Doctrine was quite essential for the special relationship Britain and the US, because at the beginning, the US did not have the resources to enforce the Monroe Doctrine, and so the British were happy to help with the might of their Royal Navy. This was the Monroe Doctrine in 5.